Hey, I'm Jim Search, and welcome to Understanding Upstate, the podcast dedicated to exploring what makes upstate New York such a unique place. Each week, my co-host Rob Adler and I dive into a new upstate topic to better understand what's up upstate. And this week, we are rolling up to the Hull-Grummond Cigar Company.
Nice opening pun. Again, you're taking the air out of my tires for the ending up pun. You're knocking it out of the park. You're doing too good of a job.
Yeah, I apologize. I will make them shittier if needs be. We can do that. You know what else people can do, Rob? Is they can subscribe and rate and review our show and share an episode with a friend. And always remember not to share them with enemies because your enemies don't deserve this goodness. Put a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts and let us know your favorite upstate location or person in the review. Do it.
There you go. Yeah, I would love to add some fan requests to our very long Google Doc at this point. We got 78 episode ideas over here.
Yeah.
Which actually, I mean, we're on episode 46. We should add some more. So guys, get us some more episode ideas.
Please let us know what you want us to talk about, because there's so much above New York City involving New York State, folks.
There are so many other canals that we haven't talked about in New York State, which reminds me, Jim, do you know what I just saw?
I don't.
This weekend?
I do not.
I saw it twice. I saw the Erie Canal, baby.
Twice?
2 times, coming and going. I was up in the Adirondacks, and I cannot tell you how frantically I tried to get a picture of here's the Erie Canal sign, and I fucking missed it, man. I was... my wife had to tell me to calm down. I was very distraught that, like, you can see just the edge of it in one picture and then the other edge in the other with no text. I was so bummed. And then I was fumbling with it just to get a picture over the bridge. Nothing. I got nothing to show for it.
Well, here's the thing. And this is the exciting thing about the Erie Canal, is that it'll still be there. Should you decide to go back, it's going to be waiting for you.
That's true. It'll always be there.
That's right.
We'll always have the Erie Canal.
We'll always have Erie, baby.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my upstate update.
Well,
you got to pause for the jingle, man.
Yeah,
I have just a little more. There we go, full jingle.
There it is. Yeah, how many bars was that? How many measures was
that? 2 bars.
Okay, good.
I don't have a master's in music or anything.
Right. There's no, and it's not like you know how that shit works. But you do. So I too have a upstate update.
This is, again, you bring in breaking news each week.
Yeah.
This is big stuff.
This is great, man. So there I was, a couple days ago on my way out of town, not upstate, unfortunately. And I checked my phone and I see I got a Venmo. And I'm like, well, what on earth is this?
Mm-hmm.
It was from one of our favorite fucking speedy freaks and Rattlesnake Pete's out there, Adam Rodkey. Shout out to you, my friend, the god himself, who is tapped in religiously to this podcast and many of the other things I've worked on. But this one, he has been front and center. Sent me money to get tickets for Serling Fest.
Hell yeah. That's a fan right there.
That's a fucking fan.
That's a real fan.
Holy shit. And a rad dude, man. That was really rad shit. So
Can we give out a Rod Serling award on our show for number one fan?
For Twilight fan? You know, he's in the zone. He's most assuredly in the zone.
He is in the zone. He is in the zone.
And yeah, we just want to give you a shout out. You know, Adam, much appreciated, brother. We really appreciate that. And I will be at Serling Fest as we're recording next weekend. I will be up in Binghamton to celebrate 100 years of Rod Serling and the Twilight Zone. There's a lot of great stuff going on up there next weekend. I'm really excited to get up there and hear what people have to talk about and watch an original episode with the original commercials in it. Holy moly guacamole.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
And we'll talk about it on a future episode.
That's right.
A few down the pipeline, I think, but
yeah,
we're gonna give some coverage. So not only can you rate and review the show, but you can also send us money if you want us to cover a certain topic. That works too.
I won't be mad at that. You know, find me on Venmo, baby. James-search-1. Go ahead, get in there.
There you go.
I won't be mad at you.
I was gonna say, you're going to Binghamton next weekend, but we're talking about Binghamton today.
We are, and you know, it's interesting when we. I'll talk about this a little bit up top, but once I started doing the research on this, I was like, this really hits home in so many ways, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit.
Awesome.
The Hull-Grummond Cigar Company, okay? And for Binghamton natives, you're going to know exactly where this building is once I describe what's currently there and where it's located. So the Hull-Grummond Cigar Company was located on the corner of Water and Henry Street in Binghamton, New York, downtown Binghamton. It is where now the Lost Dog Cafe is. So it's a gigantic building. This place is pretty fucking large. And as soon as I started doing the research for this, I was like, holy shit, I have been in this building.
Oh, rad. I was going to say, Lost Dog Cafe sounds familiar. Were we maybe looking at them for a potential screening of the documentary?
Yes, we were.
You and I created, which we filmed in Binghamton.
That's right.
Part of it in Binghamton. Okay, there we go.
Yep.
I've been on their website. I've not been in their building, but I have been on their website.
Really great food. Really enjoy their food there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd actually did a book, when I wrote a book, I did a reading up there at the Lost Dog. But that's besides the point. I have been in the Hull-Grummond Cigar Company building, but under the different, entity as the Lost Dog Cafe. I can tell you that the building is pretty mammoth, and it takes up, I would say, almost like half of a block, half a city block. It's pretty large. Now, in its prime, Hull-Grummond was one of the leading cigar producers in the entire country, which, again, we're finding, and we were talking about this, I think it was last episode with our salted potatoes, that, like, here is just these pockets of upstate New York that are, like, leading the country in just product, right? So, on the corner of Henry and Water Street was one of the country's leading cigar producers. Now, way back when, there was an ad for this company that read, "There are few places in the land that offer better working and residential conditions than Binghamton. Come to our factory. Learn cigar making. In all caps, be one of us." All right. Now, little
it's
a little paternalist corporate nonsense here, but here's
that sounds like something you might see in They Live.
Yeah,
John Carpenter classic. You put on the sunglasses and see like buy stuff and obey.
Yeah.
Be one of us.
And people did, and we're going to talk about why and how all of that came to be. But here's one thing that was not mentioned in that ad: the pay. How much were you making to do this? In 1890, the pay for rolling up 100 cigars was 40 cents, which is equivalent to $13.86 today. So I couldn't tell you how many cigars you're going to roll up in a day, but I'm going to tell you it's probably not going to be like 500 or 1,000 to even make this remotely below minimum wage.
I've got an interview with one of these factory workers later.
Yeah.
I'll tell you just exactly how many they were rolling in a day.
So the average salary back then was $750, which by today's standards is roughly $25,000. So to do the math here, $13.86 for 100 cigars is not cutting it. Not cutting it at
Not cutting it like you cut off the tip of a cigar. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Listen, you know what? I got a couple puns up my sleeve, man. So let's talk a little bit about Hull-Grummond's history, all right? George Hull and his brother moved from Connecticut to Port Crane, which is right outside of Binghamton, in the mid-1800s. At that time, cigar making in Binghamton had just begun, and George soon set up shop to make cigars. The industry quickly grew, and within a few years, there were several cigar companies in town. But it was George Hull's nephew, John Hull Jr., who started a company in 1876 that would help take the industry and Binghamton to new heights. Located in what later became known as the Fair Store, and then later on the Lost Dog Cafe, the new company thrived. Eventually, salesman Fred W. Grummond joined the firm, and in 1886, a new 4-story Hull-Grummond factory was built on the corner of Water and Henry Street. A close look at the building today shows two buildings side by side, which is true. If you look at it, there's two distinct architectural differences between the conglomerate that is that building, right?
Cool.
So fun Binghamton trivia getting thrown at you. Boom, boom, boom. Speaking of boom, talk about business and how it was booming out there.
You are on fire.
Listen,
on fire today.
Yeah, I'm firing on all cylinders today, baby.
Yeah.
So by 1890, there were over 50 cigar factories, which is kind of wild to think about. 50 cigar factories in Binghamton, and Hull-Grummond was one of the top producers with 300 employees. Demand continued to increase, and in 1906, now employing 600 people and producing 100,000 cigars daily. So I guess we could do the math to figure out how many that is. Hull had another building constructed adjoining the original structure, which we just talked about, with the new building designed by architect T.I. Lacey, especially for a cigar factory. Hull doubled both his workforce and cigar production. So he's like the fucking king. These are the kingpins of Binghamton, New York, right? And it's safe to say that they are making most of the money. They are taking home a lion's share of the cash because this is America, baby. Now, at its peak, Binghamton was producing 100 million cigars annually, ranking second in the country only to New York City. What a wild thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The obvious question, as we have alluded to, why Binghamton and why cigars? Why Binghamton has been a question so many people have asked across the years, especially. We can talk about that later. The answer, according to Broome County historian Gerald Smith, is railroads and cheap labor. Again, very American. In the mid-1800s, a canal system was in place, but it was a railroad that would soon establish Binghamton as a transportation hub. At the same time, a continuous influx of immigrants provided a never-ending supply of labor, which, as we've talked about across many different iterations here, Binghamton was a melting pot, if you will, of a lot of different countries had their influence in Binghamton. So it is.
I like to think of it more as a marinating vat. Marinating speedy meat.
I see what you did there, and I like it. Towards the end of that century, big things were happening in Binghamton. Transportation, urbanization, and immigration all came together in this city. The stage was set for phenomenal growth in manufacturing, and the cigar was the initial product of choice. Incredible. No matter...
I think a lot of this... And this wasn't the only industry, but one of the bigger ones in Binghamton. And around this time is when Binghamton became known as the parlor city, right? Like it's a boom time for the town, and that's when you get all these beautiful houses with parlors going up.
Sure,
things are going well.
And what did you do in those parlors? Smoked cigars. Ding,
Bingo.
Ding, ding, ding. Binghamton. No matter that tobacco was not locally grown as advertised, tobacco in Hull-Grummond's most popular cigar, the Flor de Franklin, is one of the finest types grown in the South, in Wisconsin and Connecticut, and the wrapper is imported from the finest tobacco fields of Sumatra. Wow. By all accounts, the key to Hull-Grummond's success was its founder, John Hull Jr., driven by a basic desire to produce a quality product. Binghamton, before 1890, was principally a producer of scrap-filled cigars, claimed their advertisements. The Franklin, a longer filler cigar, was created by Mr. Hull and instantly became a success. It put Binghamton, quote, in a class of cigar providing centers of note. Man. Now,
there you go.
Rob's going to talk a little bit about like a direct interview of what it was like working there, but I'm going to give you a little snapshot of what was happening there. Of about 5,000 workers, of which 40% or 2,000 were women, and this is across the cigar rolling industry in Binghamton. The working conditions were poor. Surprise. The jobs were hand done, from handling the tobacco leaves arriving from the south on the railroad lines to rolling them into the shape of cigars to trimming the ends off cigar molds by forming the round ends by putting them in your mouth and using your spit to seal the cigars.
Oh, man. Jim, just think of the gallons of Binghamtonian spit shipped worldwide each year. That's pretty crazy.
There's a reason why the world is the way it is now. There's a real butterfly effect of the Binghamton insanity. That's there. You could also box them up or send the completed shipments through the almost continuous deliveries being made to the railroads to be sent to purchasers across the country. Labor unrest was rampant, and an 1890 strike lasted several months after owners refused to bring pay back to a previous level after the economy rallied. The owners were making more money but refused to bring the employees back to their previous pay. Again, surprise. The strike ended after women and children were arrested by police, and the image was too horrendous for the owners.
Jeez.
The end of the strike.
You have children striking. Children are striking. Oh, no.
Well, again, child labor laws went into effect because people were like, well, we want to work, so we're going to not allow kids to do it. It wasn't for good. It was because adults wanted money. The end of the strike just brought more attention to the problems in the industry, and it fueled George F. Johnson to find a better answer as to how to treat your workers, which evolved into the square deal.
Which, if you don't know anything about, we have a whole goddamn episode about.
We do.
The Endicott Johnson, E.J. Johnson, E.J. Johnson, just E.J.
EJ.
Episode where we talk about the famous shoe company.
Or as they would say up there, Endicott. That I turns into an E up there.
One of these days I'll get it. It's not an episode of our podcast if I don't pronounce at least one town name incorrectly.
Well, listen, it's so you're saying it correctly, right? Like Endicott would be the way to pronounce it. If you were in Endicott, they would lean, the accent would lean very heavy. Is where we're going there. Now, back to our Hull-Grummond company, and folks, here we are, the burnout.
These puns.
They're here. They're here. The good times were not to last. Immediately following World War I, cigarettes were in and cigars were out, or dare I say, put out. And the industry that built this city would die a slow death. By 1920, large areas of the factory were idle and space was leased to another manufacturer. Now, instead of rolling Franklin cigars, workers stitched Enajetnik shoes for the Dunn and McCarthy Company. Finally, in 1928, the business closed. As reported by the Binghamton Press at the time, the company at one time was one of the largest employers of labor in the city. The business suffered a decline following the World War, and the factory has been practically closed since the death of John Hull Jr. more than a year ago. At his funeral, John Hull Jr. was referred to as, quote, a builder of Binghamton. A longtime colleague in the industry commented about Hull. He was one of the first and one of the last great figures in Binghamton cigar history. Nobody loved their business more than John loved his, and he paid it all attention and care of a father.
That's a very specific compliment.
Yeah,
he was one of the first and one of the last great figures in Binghamton's cigar history. I was just waiting for end at Binghamton. I was like, no. Never mind.
Specifically just in the cigar business. Yeah. Now, the building would later serve as an auto parts store, an electrical supply company, and a house of a variety of other businesses. Today, modern offices fill the second and third floors. The vacant fourth floor with exposed brick walls, rafters, and wood floors remains virtually unaltered, which is wild. I'd love to get up there someday.
I mean, let's get a lease there. Get a brick and mortar location. We'll get some merch. It'll be good. It's a worthy investment, I think.
We'll send that cash out, baby. And in 1997, the first floor has been home to one of Binghamton's most popular restaurants, the Lost Dog Cafe. That's wild. They've been there since 97. Holy moly.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't realize it had been there that long.
Well, it's actually even longer because the Lost Dog used to be located on Main Street, right across the street from the Masonic Temple, and was there for years until they moved to their downtown location.
Nice. Oh, wow.
Now, party people. I have given a overview of the Hull-Grummond Company. Rob has something very interesting I'm excited to learn about, just as you are out there, folks, of a oral history project coming to us from Binghamton University.
Yeah, so like I mentioned kind of near the top of the at least this portion of the episode, I found this really cool interview it was actually conducted in 1977, December 29th. as part of the Broome County Oral History Project. And I think Binghamton University has these archives, or it's where it's stored in their archives at the library. And it's with this woman, Anne Spisak, who was a worker at one of the... she was a worker at the General Cigar Factory, which we'll learn about, back in 1929. So, at the tail end of the cigar industry there. As I get into it, this is a transcript, but you can just go listen to this old tape recording, too. They have, the full audio, but I just took some excerpts from the transcript. So this is from Anne. I started working, I think, about 1929. I think I was around 15. I went to the General Cigar Factory. They asked our age. I told them I was 18, which I was only 15. Whether I was supposed to lie or not, I don't know, but I did.
Not a lot of ways to verify that back then.
Sure. Then they gave me a job, which was examiner. I liked the job. There was 4 people on the machine to work. One was a feeder, one was a binder, and a wrapper, and I was an examiner. I had to feel the cigars for their size, for their weight, and the cigar. I had a box, and there was 500 cigars in a box. I don't know what we got paid by the box, but our average pay for the week was $12. Jim, you said in 1890 that the average pay was $13 a week. It's 1929, and she was getting $12 a week.
Well, yeah, I also think so that is, well, I did the equivalent, right? So
right.
So if that was $12 then that would be like
okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like that was
I do see what you're saying.
It was 40 cents by 1890, which is equivalent to $12 today.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay, well, it's still not great.
No, it still sucks, which is a real shit. That would be so to give you what that would be today. That's $220 a week.
Yeah, that's a tight week.
That's hard.
A tight week. And let's see. So she goes on to say it was 30 cents an hour, basically, is what she was making. And I enjoyed it. I had a nice boss named Mr. Lawrence, and once in a while he had his brother, which his name was Lorenzo, which I couldn't figure that out because they were both brothers. So he had Mr. Lorenzo and Mr. Lawrence, who were brothers. Let's see. One of them bought a restaurant on Front Street, a spaghetti place. The Cigar Factory, I think, closed down. For what reason? I don't know. Let's see. And then the interviewer named Nettie asks, can you tell me about the operation? What were you actually doing? And this is Anne again. I had to feel the cigars. It was on a big machine. Feel the cigar for size. So kind of like we said, still in 1929, everything's by hand. And I had to put them in the box, and if they didn't match just right, you had to take them out and patch them up. If there was a little defect in the tobacco, we had to patch them up with a little glue. Yikes. I don't want to be smoking glue.
People are just smoking glue and shit. Holy
glue
shit.
And spit, man. Glue and spit.
Ay, caramba.
And the machine would operate like a conveyor, and I had to go to a place fast. If I thought I was a little behind, then I would put them in a big tin, or I would put them in a big bin. Then I would take my time. When I had recess or noon, I would patch them up again. And if the big bosses came around, they'd put their hand in and stop the operation, fill those out, patch them up, and start working again. The girls on the machine would help us because we could not operate any further until everything was done. And the big bosses were from Pennsylvania. One of the bosses' name was Mr. Joseph. A big fat man with a big cigar in his mouth is all I can remember. Let's see. We didn't have any coffee breaks as far as I can remember. And the interviewer is like, you didn't have any coffee breaks? And you just had to keep working? And Anne went back with just kept right on working till noon as far as I can remember. The windows had to be closed in the place on account of the tobacco drying up. So they're a totally airtight factory because it has to be humidified for the cigars. And then, she goes on to say that they were basically paid by the can of cigars, which you could fit 500 in, again, like 30 cents an hour. And then she asks about her commute from Endicott, and Anne follows up. I got it that time. There we go. This is Anne again. Streetcar. I don't know whether it was a nickel or a dime for that streetcar from Endicott to Binghamton. Once I got off on the Binghamton line and it was an extra and I didn't have the money, I started crying. Then finally, man gave me the dime. Never been without a dime. Nettie, the interviewer, just comes back with embarrassing.
Jesus.
Yeah, brutal. And says, I didn't realize I had to pay the extra after the arch, presumably the EJ arches in Binghamton. And I didn't realize it was Binghamton. I never traveled before. We never had cars. Nobody had a car, so I was never in Binghamton. So I didn't know it was a Binghamton line, which is wild to me. Like, going to Binghamton from Endicott was traveling for her. Like, this was a shot at making some dough. And look, if you can only go to one other place in the Triple Cities, it might as well be Binghamton, as far as I'm concerned.
I feel you on that, and I agree. I absolutely agree with you on that.
And that's where I cut it off. Again, this interview kind of went into some other things she did in Binghamton, like working at a bakery for many years. But this is just like a really kind of cool portrait of what it was like working in the factories. Mm-hmm. And a lot of what she said kind of covered what you had talked about earlier, Jim. Like, she was saying, I think one of the only other kind of tidbits she had was it was mostly, again, it was a lot of women working in the factory. And if it was anything that used machinery, that was a man working that. And then everything else, a lot of the hand tasks, the sorting and everything, those were like jobs reserved for women. And from her recollection, at least, the part of the factory she was in, it was all women there, for the most part, which is pretty interesting. Now I have something a little bit different. It's a bit of a sidetrack, but it's worthwhile.
All right.
I don't know where else we'd put it in, so I'm just throwing it in. We'll see where it takes us. So in 1868, John Hull Jr.'s uncle George, who we mentioned all the way at the beginning, he was basically one of those merchants who moved to Binghamton before John kind of reinvented the cigar, I guess, or innovated the cigar. So George basically took a little break from his small cigar business and created a 10-foot-long, 2-ton figure of a reclining man, which was secretly chiseled out of gypsum and buried on a farm in Cardiff, New York. One year later, the stone sculpture would be in air quotes, discovered and promoted as a petrified ancient giant, creating one of the greatest hoaxes in American history. Don't worry, we're going to get into it. So this guy, wow. George Hull, took his cigar money, and it's like, I'm gonna pull one over on some people.
Just bored.
No, it's even better than that. It's a spite statue, Jim. It's a spite statue.
All right, let's do it.
If this is where it ended, I don't think I would have mentioned it, but the more I got into it, the more it's just like, we have to talk about it. So the giant, again, was a creation of New York tobacconist George Hull. He was deeply attracted to science and especially to the theory of evolution proposed by Charles Darwin. Hull, an atheist, got into an argument with Reverend Turk and supporters at a Methodist revival meeting about Genesis 6:4, which states that there were giants who once lived on Earth. Didn't know that was in the Bible. That is something I, too, will now begin quoting.
Sure, yeah.
So being in the minority party, Hull lost the argument. Angered by his defeat and the credulity of people, Hull wanted to prove how easily he could fool people with a fake giant.
Oh my God. This is a spite, This is a spite giant.
And might I say, an anatomically correct spike giant. It's a pretty graphic statue. Anyway, I digress. So the idea of a petrified man did not originate with Hull. However, during 1858, the newspaper Alta California had published a fake letter claiming that a prospector had been petrified when he had drunk a liquid within a geode. That's awesome. Other newspapers had also published stories of supposedly petrified people. In 1868, Hull, accompanied by a man named H.B. Martin, hired men to quarry out a 10-foot, 4.5-inch long block of gypsum in Fort Dodge, Iowa, telling them it was intended for a monument to Abraham Lincoln in New York. And when you look at the statue, it's like, yeah, kind of, a little Lincoln in there. He shipped the block to Edward Burghardt in Chicago, a German stonecutter whom he had sworn to secrecy. Burghardt hired two sculptors named Henry Sall and Fred Morman to create the giant. They had taken cautious steps to cover up their work during the carving, putting up quilts to lessen the sound of carving. They're in like a whole nother part of the country, and these guys are being so secretive about this.
That's hilarious.
The giant was designed to imitate the form of Hull himself. Okay, well, maybe Hull looked a little bit like Abraham Lincoln. Hull consulted a geologist and learned that hares wouldn't be petrified, so removed the hair and beard from the giant. Amazing. The length of the giant was 10 feet, 4.5 inches, and it weighed 2,990 pounds. Various stains and acids were used to make the giant appear to be old and weathered, and in order for the giant to look ancient, Hull first wiped the giant using a sponge soaked with sand and water. The giant surface was beaten with steel knitting needles embedded in a board to simulate pores. Man, he really had a lot of spite in his heart.
Yeah. I love it.
It was also rubbed with sulfuric acid to create a deeper vintage-like color. During November 1868, Hull transported the giant by railroad to the farm of his cousin, William Newell. By then, he had spent $2,600, equivalent to $60,000 in 2023 for the hoax.
Incredible. 60 grand?
Yeah. And, Jim, it gets better. It gets better.
I don't even know how.
Oh, just wait. Let's see. On a night in late November 1868, the giant was buried in a hole in Newell's farm. Nearly a year later, he spent so goddamn long creating this thing and then left it underground for a year. So nearly a year later, Newell hired Gideon Emmons and Henry Nichols, ostensibly to dig a well. And on October 16th, 1869, they found the giant. Can you imagine being one of those guys? Amazing. Exhibition and exposure as fraud. So this is where it gets
better.
Things get even better. On the first day, visitors were able to view the giant with no fee charged. So they like put this thing up to, as an exhibition. The next day, a tent was set up on the Discovery site, and Newell charged each visitor 50 cents for a 15-minute session of viewing the giant. The number of visitors went to about 300 to 500 per day as the demand for wagons and carriages dramatically increased. The townspeople also gained huge profit because of the Cardiff Giant, which again, I think it's the town it was discovered in.
Right.
The hotels and restaurants in Cardiff saw more customers in these 4 days than they had ever seen before.
Great.
Awesome. Some believed the giant was a petrified man, while some believed it was a statue. Those who believed it was a petrified man thought it was one of the giants mentioned in the aforementioned Genesis verse. On the other hand, John F. Boynton, the first geologist to examine the giant, declared that it could not be a fossilized man, but hypothesized it was a statue that was carved by a French Jesuit in the 16th or 17th century in order to impress the local Native Americans. You can't lose. You can't lose with any of these explanations.
No.
It's a gold mine either way.
These are perfect.
Yep. Like you have a goddamn geologist to be like, well, it's not a petrified man, but I think it's an ancient statue. Awesome.
Into it.
Andrew D. White, the first president of Cornell, made a close inspection of the Cardiff giant. He noticed that there was no good reason to try to dig a well in the exact spot the giant had been found. Oof. You gotta bury this thing near some water, you know? Like,
right.
You went to all these lengths. Oh my God. Being asked my opinion, my answer was that the whole matter was undoubtedly a hoax, that there was no reason why the farmer should dig a well in the spot where the figure was found, that it was convenient neither to the house nor to the barn, though there was already a good spring and a stream of water running conveniently to both. That, as to the figure itself, it certainly could not have been carved by any prehistoric race, since no part of it showed the characteristics of any such early work. That, rude as it was, it betrayed the qualities of modern performance of a low order. Man, the more we read old-timey writings, the more I delight in when people used to insult each other. They really knew how to cut a person down.
To really, really get you.
Indeed. So it appeared that Andrew D. White was taken aback by the channels on the bottom part of the giant, stating that for such grooving to be created on local Onondaga gray limestone would require years. So, like, even though he's a suspect, he's still like, I can't explain these crazy grooves.
Right.
Then we got a Yale paleontologist involved named Othniel C. Marsh, who examined the statue and pointed out that it was made of soluble gypsum, which, had it been buried in its blanket of wet earth for centuries, would not still have fresh tool marks on it, which it did.
Well, oops.
And termed it a most decided humbug. Some theologians and preachers, however, defended its authenticity. Man, this guy really, he wasn't going after the scientists. He was going after
the
theologians. And he got him. He hooked one. Okay, we're coming to the end here. So eventually Hull sold his part interest for $23,000. $23,000, equivalent to $500,000 to a syndicate of 5 men headed by David Hannum. They moved the statue to Syracuse for exhibition. The giant drew such crowds that showman P.T. Barnum offered $50,000 for the giant. When the syndicate refused, he hired a man to model the giant's shape covertly in wax and create a plaster copy. How does that happen? How do you covertly cover a 10-foot statue in wax and then safely remove that? I don't know how pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It doesn't end there, though. So P.T. Barnum gets his copy and displays his giant in New York, claiming that it was the real giant and the Cardiff giant was a fake. As the newspapers reported Barnum's version of the story, David Hannum was quoted as saying, "There's a sucker born every minute," in reference to spectators paying to see Barnum's giant. Since then, the quotation has often been misattributed to Barnum himself.
Interesting.
Who knew? It came from a man in Syracuse. God damn it, PT. Learning all sorts of things today. Hannum sued Barnum for calling his giant a fake, but the judge told him to get his giant to swear on his own geniuses in court if he wanted a favorable injunction. That's a salty judge.
That is. That really is.
On December 10th, 1869, Hull confessed everything to the press. And on February 2nd, 1870, both giants were revealed as fakes in court. The judge also ruled that Barnum could not be sued for terming a fake giant a fake.
This is so fucking ridiculous at this point.
It's escalated so
There's millions of dollars, like upwards of $1.5 million from my count is being spent on this fucking hoax.
But I mean, pretty fucking good investment. Like in today's dollars, George Hull invested $60,000, and he got a $500,000 payday when he sold his fake ass spite statue. Awesome. You love to see it. Let's see. So to close this out, Hull proclaimed that he did not confess because of the pressing criticism, but confessed proudly that he intended for the hoax to be exposed to reveal the tendency of the Christian community to believe in things too easily and to counter the fundamentalist belief that giants once roamed the earth.
He could have just said that. Like, hey, you guys believe in a lot of silly things. Instead, he's like, I'm going to show you that you believe in a lot of silly.
And also, don't get it twisted. I wasn't worried about the press coming after me. I just want to make sure everyone knows my original point that I made 2 years ago when I created and buried a 10-foot statue.
Woo!
And that's where I end. Very
goodness.
Unrelated, but again, this is what George did with his cigar money. So I don't know where else we would have fit this in.
It had to be said. It had to be discussed.
It did. But I'm gonna close this out with a reading from our favorite author, Arch Merrill, upstate New York's own poet laureate. We've heard from him a few times before. This is going to be a reading from Southern Tier, Volume 2, which deals with there's a few chapters on Binghamton. And this is what he had to say about the cigar industry. This is in Arch Merrill's words. Once Binghamton was known far and wide as a cigar making center. By 1880, it was second in the nation in that respect. In the old days, all cigars were rolled by hand, and the shots of Binghamton developed some masters of that art. The growing use of machinery, a serious strike in 1890, and the ascendancy of the cigarette combined to put the industry on the skids. I think it's appropriate to snap. Still, as late as 1899, there were 30 factories in Binghamton with 5,000 employees. By 1924, that number had been reduced to 3,000. Within a few years, there wasn't a cigar factory in the town. Old-timers will remember some of the Binghamton-made brands, such as Grand Commander, Florida Franklin, Judge Day. And there ends the reading from Southern Tier, Volume 2. Jim, I think we took about an hour to say what Arch Merrill said in one paragraph.
But you're not going to get... Yes, however... He's not going to give you the whole package.
No, he left out the spite statue. What the fuck is he doing?
Yeah,
Arch. I don't know. I don't know.
He only knew what he knew.
It's true. That's in Southern Tier Volume 3.
Right. In our third installment.
Indeed. Well, while we're waiting for Southern Tier Volume 3 to be released, I feel like you might have some things to recommend to our Speedy Freaks and Rattlesnake Pete's to kind of fill that void.
Sure. Well, let's say you have just lit up a fat stogie and you are just living and being a boss that you are, burning a cigar. And you might have a nice stiff beverage with you, But you wanna complement all these things. It's a relaxing evening, and you say to yourself, "Man, it'd be nice to hear some jokes." Mm-hmm. Well, I got you. Don't you worry about it. Upstate Understandings. It's a comedy album. It's my comedy album. Goes great with that. Pairs well with a cigar and a nice brandy. And you're going to love it. It's available at jimsearch.bandcamp.com. And, of course, executive produced by my guy, Rob Adler.
Oh, my God.
Go pick it up. I just really realized there are 10 vinyl copies left.
Whoa.
After that, there will be no more. That is it, and that is that on the physical side. So go out and pick those up. JimSearchComedy.com is a good place to find all my funnies and ha-has. And by the time this releases, we will be 2 weeks away from the Crooked Mouth Comedy Fest. I'm going to be headlining that on September 21st. It's going to be a real fun time. My man Stephen Brown's going to be hosting. He put it all together. It's going to be great. Go get tickets. It's going to be a fun time. And yeah, you're going to love every gosh darned minute of it. Rob, they bought tickets to the Comedy Fest. They bought my album. They bought everything I've told them to buy, but they still have more money. What could they possibly do with it?
Let's just say you were just over at your cousin's farm. You just buried a spite statue that you spent at least 10 grand on. Pretty good deal for a spite statue, but a pretty big investment. And now it's just going to be buried under the ground for at least a year. You got a lot of time to kill and a lot of spite to ferment, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to go grab my album, New York Sticky, available at brooklynfrequency.bandcamp.com. And that next year is going to fly by. You're going to put that thing on, hit the repeat button, just let that go. And before you know it, you're going to have a pretty good payday coming your way when you sell your spite statue. But you're going to be able to rub it in everyone's faces. But also enjoy yourself while you're doing that with my album. Also, it's going to be Bandcamp Friday, the day this episode comes out. So that means all of the proceeds go directly to Jim and myself if you pick up our albums the day this episode comes out. So go do that. Links are in the description for everything we've talked about. Also, check out our documentary, Understanding Upstate. It's about the making of Jim's album. That's up on YouTube for free. Also, I'll throw out there, mentioned this I think last week or the week before for the first time, I filmed, directed, and edited another comedy special with another great comedian named Chris Calogero, which just came out this past week, this past Thursday. The special's up on YouTube. The album's also available streaming. I'm going to drop a link to the special in the description. It's up for free. Go check it out. It's already got like 3,000 views. It's doing really well.
That's awesome.
So go check it out. Yeah, you love to see it. Go check all those things out. We've got a whole afternoon planned for you with Understanding Upstate affiliated content, let alone just going through all of our episodes. So go check all those out. Links are in the description. All right, Jim, let's hear our riddle for next week's topic on our next episode.
It's not the topic we're going to talk about next week. It's the topic we're not going to talk about next week.
All right. That one threw me for a loop.
Yeah, it's a play on the old saying for it of what we're going to talk about.
All right. I like it. While you're puzzling out just what that is, or just what that topic is for next week, everyone, go subscribe, rate, review the show. Take Adam Rodkey's lead and throw us some money for a topic you want us to cover. If you want to mail me a bottle of Speedy sauce to review, go right ahead. Robert Salamita, I'll send you my address. But
yes.
short of being a proprietor of Speedy Marinades, just give us a rating, a review, and again, share an episode with a friend. That really helps us out a lot. Jim, we got to close out this episode. I'm withering over here. Are you ready for?
I am.
You ready for my closing transition?
Let's do it.
I gotta light up a stogie, so let's get on out of here. Not
Huge.
bad. That's the obvious one, but I delivered.
Huge.
I delivered.
Bye. Understanding Upstate is a podcast hosted by Jim Search and Rob Adler, edited by Rob Adler, and music from Regal Monk.